From the Gray Man Briefing, this is a summary of recent developments regarding the Second Amendment, cybersecurity, protests, supply chain disruptions, national security, law and order, free speech, censorship, government oversight, and more.
For the second quarter of 2025, this is Update 10 to the Gray Man Briefing summary of recent developments. Across the country, in D.C., an Afghan national and CIA-linked immigrant shot 2 National Guard members near the White House, prompting lockdowns and a 500-troop Guard surge. In Texas, DHS arrested an Afghan for planning a Fort Worth bombing, and 5 defendants in Fort Worth pleaded guilty to antifa-linked terrorism support after a July attack injured an officer. In California, a Stockton birthday party shooting killed 4 and wounded more than 10 in a gang-tied attack. In Missouri, digital ID age checks for adult content sites took effect. In Iowa, a case involving an ex-police chief charged with obtaining post-1986 machine guns may have national Second Amendment implications. On a national level, WhatsApp faced claims of hidden GPS data, YouTube was accused of mass AI-driven bans, and the White House launched a media bias tracker. The DOJ was revealed to have secretly subpoenaed a senior House Republican's phone. The Department of Government Efficiency was dissolved early, and the Senate demanded records from extremism research centers. Army veteran Matt Murphy labeled the D.C. attack a false flag tied to surveillance expansion. Outside the U.S., in Syria, U.S. and partner forces destroyed over 15 ISIS weapon caches. In the United Kingdom, more than 9,000 arrests were made for online speech crimes. Let's begin today with terrorism. In D.C., an Afghan national who was an Operations Allies welcome entrant under prior NDS Unit 01 and CIA-linked experience shot 2 National Guard members near the White House, causing immediate lockdowns across multiple buildings and prompting the deployment of 500 additional Guard personnel as investigators examined possible planning, influence, and affiliations. The suspect, who worked on a JSOC-mentored strike unit conducting high-value raids alongside U.S. intelligence and special forces, was confirmed that he had direct operational contact with U.S. agencies before the Afghan collapse by former CIA Director John Ratcliffe. He entered the U.S. under humanitarian parole, not the SIV program, in 2021, and then received asylum this year in April, after educators found no derogatory information. While investigators are now mapping his U.S. movements, contacts, and communications from 21 to 2025, Google Trends data showed unexplained search spikes for his name in the D.C. area on October 30th, November 20th, and hours before the attack. Spikes not seen in other regions, and similar patterns previously occurred with Tyler Robinson, the Kirk assassin, though no cause has been confirmed. ISIS-K propaganda channels quickly praised the shooting and referenced his half-brother, who is an ISKP recruiter killed in 2022, but no operational link has been established. An unverified NSU-03 QSF identification card circulating online lists him as an E5 with Afghan-U.S. military cooperation. Overall, the case involves a highly trained former paramilitary asset whose background raises vetting questions about the 2021 botched withdrawal and later asylum approval this year, with investigators considering the possibility of pre-planning or outside influence, and with the expanded Guard deployment signaling concern over broader security implications. As mentioned earlier, an Army veteran and political commentator, Matt Murphy, has asserted that the D.C. attack was a false flag. His posts, which circulated alongside reporting of the attack that killed the National Guard member and wounded another there in D.C., described the Afghan suspect as a Muslim former CIA contractor and claimed the incident was the first in a series of coming false flag attacks to justify expanded surveillance and militarization. Murphy's post linked the shooting rhetorically to federal investments in AI-enabled surveillance, biometric checkpoints, border infrastructure, and digital IDs, while framing the event as part of a broader plot to erode civil liberties. Of course, these assertions remain speculative. Moving on, in Fort Worth, the Department of Homeland Security arrested another Afghan national, Mohammed Dawood, after identifying online posts indicating he was building explosives for an attack on Fort Worth. The arrest occurred 1 day before the D.C. shooting. Also in Texas, 5 defendants pleaded guilty in federal court to providing Antifa-linked material support to terrorists following a July attack outside the Prairieland Detention Center near Dallas. Prosecutors said the group supported Antifa-aligned extremists who launched an assault involving gunfire and fireworks that wounded an Alvarado Police Department officer. The charges were brought under terrorism-related statutes following a federal designation of Antifa-aligned entities as domestic terrorist threats. Let's look now at a major crime. In Stockton, California, gunfire at a child's birthday party killed 3 children and 1 adult while wounding more than 10 others. Witnesses reported hearing automatic-sounding burst, and officials suggested a likely gang-related motive. Multi-shooter attack is the working theory right now, but no arrests have been made. The mayor publicly labeled the attack gang-related, while noting the possibility of drug-related ties, though investigators have not confirmed that motive. Early reports indicate no one at the party shot back, and the victims and attendees were primarily Latino and Black families, according to local coverage. Speculative reports suggest involved gangs could have been the Norteños, the Conway Gangsters, the Flyboys, MOB, or the Locktown Crips. But this is based solely on the motive, or the modus operandum, location, and recent active gangs in the region. Deputies recovered at least 1 firearm and impounded several vehicles, but like I said, no arrests have been made. Let's look now at national security. In Syria, U.S. and partner forces conducted multi-day operations that located and destroyed over 15 ISIS weapon cache sites in the RIF Damascus region, eliminating rockets, mortars, rifles, and anti-tank mines, along with explosives and bomb-making materials. The mission involved airstrikes and controlled ground detonations and included the seizure of illicit drugs. CENTCOM said the goal was to prevent ISIS from rebuilding operational capability or exporting attacks abroad. The operation reflects ongoing U.S. counterterrorism activity aimed at disrupting ISIS networks. Let's shift into the privacy, bias, censorship, and cybersecurity briefing. A digital forensics investigation claims that ordinary WhatsApp messages contain embedded GPS coordinates, revealing a sender's precise location even without having shared live location. WhatsApp has not confirmed the behavior, leaving this allegation unresolved but raising significant privacy concerns. Next, a widely circulated claim asserted that YouTube banned millions of channels through automated AI enforcement and automated appeals, with YouTube confirming that there were large-scale automated removals, but not the specific number cited, which I believe was around 5 million accounts taken off of YouTube solely on an AI removing them. Looking now at Missouri, they have activated digital ID age verification. It's a mandate requiring adults to verify they are 18 or older before accessing websites containing material harmful to minors. This could be anything from pornography to firearms. Platforms face up to $10,000 per day for noncompliance, and the mandate raises data retention concerns given previous leaks involving government-issued ID photos. In the United Kingdom, Media Research Center's Free Speech America project reported that more than 9,000 people were arrested in 2024 for online speech crimes under hate speech and communication offense laws. Many of the arrests involved social media posts and other online expressions flagged as violating censorship and hate speech laws. Critics say the number illustrates a criminal justice-based censorship regime that punishes political, religious, or controversial speech. Let's shift now into the Second Amendment briefing. In Iowa, a former Adair police chief was convicted for unlawfully acquiring post-1986 machine guns and then renting them to civilians for profit, a scheme that violated federal restrictions imposed by the Hughes Amendment. In his appellate proceedings, the Department of Justice argued that the existing precedent still places post-1986 machine guns outside the Second Amendment protections, despite the Bruin ruling. DOJ relied on the long-standing, quote, dangerous and unusual doctrine to maintain that these weapons fall outside constitutional coverage regardless of advances in firearm technology. The outcome could reinforce federal authority to prohibit machine guns and influence future challenges to NFA-regulated weapons or attempts to overturn the Hughes Amendment. And finally, in the Second Amendment, during the recent government shutdown, acting ATF Director Driscoll designated firearm examiners as essential personnel after lobbying from 30 Republican members of Congress, ensuring gun-related evidence processing continued while many other federal employees were furloughed. Gun Owners of America, a pro-2A organization, celebrated the move as a historic win that kept firearms work running despite broader service disruptions. Critics argued the decision showed gun lobby influence over shutdown priorities, elevating firearms processing above other public services. Now shifting into the government oversight briefing. The White House unveiled a media bias tracker that tags news stories with labels such as bias, lie, or omission of context, escalating conflict with major news outlets and framing government-defined classifications of disputed reporting. So this is the government telling us what is true and what is not. And new information showed that the Department of Justice under President Biden secretly subpoenaed call and text information from a senior House Republican's phone during a 2022 leak investigation. The Department of Government Efficiency was terminated roughly 8 months ahead of schedule, with its duties dispersed across other offices. Supporters framed it as streamlining, while critics said it reflected deeper instability in federal management structures. And finally, the Senate Committee on Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs ordered the University Extremism Research Centers to produce years of records on watch list programs, January 6 studies, vaccine mandate research, and Trump supporter datasets, prompting warnings over political targeting and potential chilling of academic work. That's it for this week's summary of recent developments. Remember, these briefings are delivered in real time, in full, with analysis and links to Gray Man Briefing subscribers sent via the Telegram and Signal apps, and also via a weekly email. Thanks for listening, and as always, remain aware, be vigilant, and stay safe.